which is corporate social responsibility. It is, in short, it is called CSR. So in future, we'll be just mentioning CSR. So corporate social responsibility is an awareness among modern corporations to integrate social and environmental concerns in business decisions. So while business decisions are being made, and as we have seen, business owes a lot of things towards the society. Yep, you remember that business has all the shared resources, business uses the shared resources of human capital and monetary capital. So there is a lot of responsibility of business towards the society. So corporate social responsibility basically lays down the structure, the foundation, how business can repay that sort of a debt. So we'll move ahead with this. It is a self-regulating model of business for heightened self-awareness of the rights and needs of the society. Look at this word, that is self-regulating. That is, CSR is something which comes from within the business. Okay, because it's sort of a responsibility. It's like nobody goes and tells, okay, you need to be responsible. Nobody tells you, student, then you need to be responsible about your studies, because you yourself are studies. You are yourself aware about your future. So similarly, CSR is also a self-regulating body. It's a self-regulating model for heightened self-awareness, that the business is now aware. It's now aware of what? About the rights and needs of the society. While practicing CSR, companies not only restrain themselves from causing harm to the environment, but also make valuable contribution towards its betterment. So CSR has got two roles. One, in any of its activity, the company should not harm the environment. When we talk about the environment, it's not only the ecological environment out here. We say out here environment means the society at a large, and obviously the ecological environment, everything which is outside business. That's what environment means out here. I think something which you would have studied in your business environment. So this is like the external environment out here. So it doesn't harm the environment outside its business, and over and above that, it also makes some valuable contributions to improve the state of this environment. So there are two things. It has come to be as an extension of corporate governance to ensure that company contributes or gives back part of its earnings to the betterment of the environment and the society in which it operates. So obviously, CSR is an extension of good corporate governance. Good corporate governance, as we have seen, is the way a company functions on good principles and values. So similarly, as an extension, CSR says, in addition to running the company properly for internal benefits, there have to be some objectives, some responsibility towards the external environment or towards the external society at large. Ensure that the company's operations are ethical and beneficial to the society. So as we've seen in the initial part, that it is two things. One, ensuring that there's no harm. Another thing, that there is some good things happening to the society and the environment at a large. CSR is different to other ways in which companies make financial commitment to the society. CSR is a pure strategic management concept aimed at consciously developing the image of the company through spending money on social causes. So it's like under CSR, the company is spending money, and we will see in the later part how it is different to pure donation. Out here, spending money is aimed at particular aims. Now, let's understand one thing, that this and spending money is over and above the regular expenses which a company makes. This is over and over the expenses towards salaries. This is over and above the expenses towards raw material, utilities, taxes, everything. So all these things have been made, the company has made all the expenses. Now it wants to spend something extra. So this is over and above all the required expenses. So let's say CSR is not an expense, it is sort of a spending. Okay, so that's why it said CSR is a pure strategic management concept aimed at consciously developing the image of the company. So it's a well thought program. It's not that you do it today and you don't do it tomorrow, or you get up one fine morning and you say, I want to be socially responsible. It's not like that. Basic strategy is made, and based on that, CSR projects are selected and money is spent on that projects. Other forms of donations like giving charity, providing sponsorships to events, or making philanthropic contributions for setup, example like setup of hospitals, have been done by business since long. So we all know these things business has been doing, and there are a lot of, as example is given, even there are some schools which have been set up, even colleges have been set up by noted philanthropists Philanthropists are the people who just spend money and they feel good about that. So in your cities, I'm very sure there would be some charity hospitals, there would be some good schools also, there would be some other such maybe public parks also, so which have been set up by industrialists some time back, and their name is there. So these things have been happening since even when CSR came before. Even before CSR came, all these things have been done previously. Such donations were sporadic and were made while considering the profitability of the business and to promote the name of the promotion of the promoters of the business and the donors. So these donations were sporadic; they were not planned. Like one day, maybe the promoter had some personal experience, and he felt some problem happened in his personal life or something he saw. That's why he said, "Okay, I have this money. I am donating this money to set up a hospital for all the women out here." Or he said, "Okay, I see in my area children are not educated, so I'm setting up a primary school." So the idea was that it was very sporadic and it was not regular. That it's not that this year he set up a school, next year he'll set up another school. It's not like that. He set up 2 or 3 schools and maybe whichever type of things he did. So it was sporadic, it was not planned, as in when they felt they did that thing. Other thing was that it was depending upon the profitability. It was all dependent that promoter having that money, he having that profits. So if he is having those money, having those profits, he was doing it. If the business was not doing good, obviously nothing was happening like that. And a third important thing was that his name was always attached. So all these charitable hospitals or schools or parks, wherever you go, you would always find the name of that promoter who has given some person, either maybe done in the memory of his mother or in the memory of his parents, whoever, or and even sometimes the name of the company is also there. So the objective was to create the awareness about the company. CSR, on the other hand, is a well-planned attempt. Donations were sporadic, but CSR is a well-planned attempt to spread goodwill of the company. It has nothing to do with the personal name of the promoter. Nothing. Whoever sitting as a director, nothing has to do with that. CSR is aimed to promote the name of the company, and it's a very strategic, well-planned, and we'll see how it is there. CSR aims to make the name of a company connected to the social activity in which it is engaged. So whenever the name of the company is mentioned, or one is there, the other one is recorded. So if one company creates some CSR activity, whenever people see that activity, they will always recall that company's name. So just to give an example, the Tata Group does a lot of CSR activities where their steel plant is there in Jharkhand. So earlier it was in Bihar. So wherever such activities have been happened, so whenever people see those good hospitals in rural areas, they see those schools coming up, they remember, and the Tata name is always there. They say, okay, this school means Tata. So whenever they talk about this school, name of Tata obviously comes in. Similarly, there are a lot of other companies, and we will see these examples in this presentation also, or in the next presentation, how Indian companies have really created good CSR programs which have made lives, which have made their lives good. So CSR is more than just making contributions or donations. It achieves a balance through commitment to social causes, through conflicting economic, environmental, and social objectives. So it is purely not just donations. Out here, under, as it is said, that it is a strategic activity. So they select an activity and then they create a plan for that, and they start making contributions to that. Donations, no, we can say it's a contribution, and then activity is run in a very professional way. Unlike donations where you just keep the money, give the money, and people will utilize the money. In CSR, the money is utilized in a very professional way with certain objectives in mind. Probably that the name of the company is there, and there's also a possibility that the company may create a different section. So good companies, they have CSR divisions also, headed by senior people, and a lot of staff is there. So it's run very professionally. The evolution of CSR, how corporate social responsibility came up. So CSR has come up as a pragmatic answer to the pressure from the consumer and civil rights group. Growing concern of environmental pollution, exploitation of labor, infringement of rights of small investors, and even human rights abuses by companies in pursuit to reach out for cheaper supplies and bigger markets. So companies, since the past century or even the 19th century, if you had read about that, in the 19th century, companies in Europe were exploiting. There was a huge exploitation of labor. There was child labor was rampant out there. There was huge pollution, and nobody cared about the economy. The company owners, the business owners, they were as concerned of regarding increase of their profit. So these were the concerns coming up again and again. This is like so many years back, and so many and so much of damage was being done to the society. Unchallenged activities by big companies were to ensure higher profits and greater return to the shareholders. The only objective was to create profits and distribute that money to the shareholders at whatever cost. The shareholders were satisfied with the returns. The shareholders were getting good return. They were very happy. And whenever new investments came, they were ready to give, because they knew if we give more investments, the company will make more profits and our dividends, our returns will be good. So they were very happy. The governments were also satisfied at that time. This quite years back. The governments were happy as growth by the multinational corporations or these big companies, even MNCs were that time also there. It led to repatriation of international profits and corporate taxes also. However, under pressure of society and external stakeholders, forced companies to recognize strategic value of being responsible of the social and environmental issues. Although all this was happening, but yes, the pressure was building up from a society and from external shareholders, from the external stakeholders of business being responsible. These pressures were coming up slowly and slowly. Corporations began to align their business strategies. So under mounting all such pressure, what happens? Corporations began to align their business strategy to conform to the new causes. This marked the birth of concept of corporate social responsibility in the decade of 1950s. So it was quite long, like about so many years back, that the birth of CSR happened because of all such pressure coming from such external people. That companies started thinking that yes, we should do something. The name was given by an American economist, Howard Bowen, and by 1970s, CSR in its modern and organized form began to emerge in the US economy. So it took another 20 years, close to 20 years, from the name being recognized to serious thinking starting to happen in the US economy about this. I'm talking about CSR. We are not talking about donations. These things, as I said, has been happening in India and outside since long ages. But CSR as a modern, professional and an organized concept. The introduction of the social contract between the business and the society highlighted the idea that business exists due to consent of the society and therefore an obligation to contribute to the welfare of the society. So within that time, in the 1970s, there emerged a thought that there is a social contract between business and the society. Maybe an unwritten contract. Written contracts were there with the employees or with the suppliers and other people, but this was an unwritten contract. Unwritten social contract was there. Why? As we have just seen, that business is using the resources of the society, business is using the manpower and raw material of the society, which if this business isn't used, can be used somewhere else. So it was thought that there is some social contract between both these parties. The next decade saw better protection of shareholder interests. That is the decade of the 1960s. The 1990s came, another 20 years passed and 30 years passed, and 1990s saw universal acceptance of the concept due to big scams which shook the business world. So 1990s we saw that scam of the end of the 90s, the scam of Enron came, and other also scams started coming in to the world. So at that time, big businesses, governments, everybody started recognizing that although pressure was mounting from the people, but at that time even the businesses and the governments also started taking it seriously. The business community realized the importance of good governance and accountability to the stakeholders. Yes, that's the time they realized, yes, there has to be some accountability, because if such accountability is not there, then maybe some other people, or maybe part of this business, maybe my employees only, maybe some other directors, they will do something wrong, something bad. So at that time, the board of directors, senior managers, and even the government, because of all this thing, the mess which was being created, they said, okay, something has to be done. Not just for social benefit, but also to protect enhance its own image. So apart from not even for social benefit, Yes, obviously CSR does social benefit, but now at that time, because all this mess was happening and people started having a very negative feeling about the business. So at that time, business started thinking, yes, our image should increase. The image of business should increase. What best to do is to start doing something extra for the society. Yeah, because there had been the long demands were being made, since long demands had been made about about some responsibility, and at this time the name of business, the businesses started losing a lot of value and stock prices also started coming down. So there was a need to do some exercise so that the name of so that the image of the business was corrected, and this was the best possible option which was found. Serious attempts were made to demonstrate commitment of business to greater social and environmental issues. At that time, people started making some attempts concerned with the social and environmental issues. The start of the 21st century marked the growth of awareness about environmental stability and business continuity in the new global marketplace. So as years passed, people started to getting very worried about all the damages which was happening to the environment because of unrestricted, uncontrolled practices of the businesses, pollution happening, resources were being exploited without any concern, sustainability was being totally ignored. So at that time, the awareness was rising. In response, many countries started to enact laws to make business committed to social causes. So, as we have also seen, we saw some laws in our previous chapters. Types of CSR categories. What are types of categories? What are different categories in which corporate social responsibility can be categorized? So, first is the philanthropic responsibility. As you saw, philanthropy is that people want to spend money just for the goodness of it. So, CSR, one type of CSR is philanthropic responsibility. That is giving back to the community and making donations to worthy causes. You find a worthy cause and you give the money. As we discussed, there is no hospital in the community, so let us build one hospital. Or maybe there is no place for people to study, so let's make a library for them. Okay, to make the world a better place. The donations are made as a goodwill gesture of the business. Many times companies create a separate trust, mostly in the name of the company or its promoter, and which will carry on the good work initially started by. So maybe many times the company doesn't want to do it directly because obviously the company's objective is something else. Its objective is to undertake business activity, create profits, and keep the stakeholders happy. Now for the CSR, they create a different trust. Initial money they will put in, and then a lot of people can come, like-minded people also can come and give money to the trust. And this trust will be sort of a professional body which will conduct all the activities. The second category of CSR is the environmental responsibility. Adoption of environmental friendly practices and policies. This is a need of the hour. Every company now is doing it under law or out of their own. It has become synonymous to efforts to reduce carbon footprints by engaging in alternative sources and adoption of green technologies. Today, it is one of the most common way to being into CSR. And a lot of governments have actually announced also that they want to remove all petrol vehicles. They may want to remove all carbon, emissions at some time or the other. So there's a lot of, responsibility and a lot of awareness is coming out of that about the environment. The third category for CSR is the ethical responsibility. That is to ensure fair business practices to be used with all those involved in the supply chain. So does it ring bells about corporate governance? Yes, it should, because it's as it says, CSR is an offshoot of corporate governance itself. So ethical responsibility says to ensure fair business practices, and we all know what are fair business practices, to be used with all those involved in the supply chain. Okay, giving correct remuneration, paying to the stakeholders, the suppliers on time, no cheating to the shareholders, distribution of profits quite equally. So these are some of the aspects of fair business practices. Achieve fair treatment to all stakeholders. Companies mostly set standards of behavior in this category. So how do you define ethical responsibility? They set standard. What is, when markets are falling, company will not remove staff to support their livelihood. Now this is a standard they have set. Okay, fair business practice means we will protect the right of the workers also. Now, how will you measure that thing? Okay, if due to some problem there is a loss of demand, or the prices are falling, or the profits are also falling, so easiest thing which companies do, they remove people. But okay, they take a standard, we will not remove people. That should not affect their livelihood. We will maybe do some other measures. Maybe we'll reduce everybody's salary, or we will cut down other expenses. But they take one decision. So now this is a standard. A standard has been set. Anything happens, we will not do this activity. Economic responsibility. When a business operates with philanthropic, environmental, and ethical business practices while making operations profitable and sustain long-term growth. Now, this is economic responsibility, obviously, because shareholders' money is out there, so it is the responsibility of the business. It is the first responsibility there. That if business is doing a lot of good activities, but in the end it's not making profits, yeah, so what will happen? A time will come when the business itself will stop, and everything associated will also stop. So economic responsibility is also a social responsibility. Understand? Making profits is not bad, because a lot of people have invested money on there. Lot of people's livelihood earnings are dependent upon this business. So it's the objective of the business to have the economic responsibility, use that money judiciously in a better way to improve and increase profits. Key benefits of good CSR practices. That CSR practices will be there, and what will be the key benefits? What benefits will be there if CSR practices are to be undertaken? So first is develop a strong brand image. CSR gives a very strong brand image to companies who are following this practice. Good deeds are noticed, they win points, allow recognition, and establish reputation. So if you do good deeds, they don't go unnoticed. People start noticing it. You study hard, your marks will be approved. You do a lot of work at home, your parents will start noticing it, and you start doing some work, good work in your neighborhood. Your neighbors, your community will start noticing it. So good deeds are always noticed, they never go unnoticed. They allow recognition and establish your reputation. By such of your personal action, even your family's name will also improve. People will say, oh yeah, this is a good family, and because their children are behaving in such and such good way. Focusing on right issues in CSR can contribute up to 30% of company's brand value. Now, this is something very, very interesting to see, that focusing on CSR contributes. There's a brand value. The brand value increases by either quality of the product, by the good policies of the company, refund, how easily they do the refund, how new products are coming, what is the utility of these products. So all these things contribute to the brand value of that product. So as it says, is contributing to CSR improves the company's brand value by 30%. That's close to about 1/3. Increases customer loyalty and builds sales. Yeah. Consumers develop unseen and yet personal relationship with the products and services they buy. So consumers, they develop a relationship, that if you like your favorite cold drink, wherever you go, you want to have that favorite cold drink. If something has a no, I want that particular cold drink. If you like a particular brand of shorts, so you develop a relationship with them, and you start identifying. Okay, you identify yourself with maybe some type of movies also. Okay, so customers develop a relationship with the products and services which they buy. Research shows that people feel about a company, what people feel about a company is based on the CSR approach of the company. That people have opinions about the company. Yeah, people have opinions about companies into finances. They have opinions about companies who are into automobile. They may have opinion about companies into maybe defense productions. Okay, so but it says and those opinions would be based on the type of products which they're giving out. It could be based on the type of news which is coming out, good and bad news which may be coming out. Some company may start giving out bad news, that we saw the examples of the scams and frauds coming. So, but over and above that, one major important aspect which makes people feel good about a company is its CSR strategy, employee recruitment and retention. So this is a good benefit of CSR practice. We have seen quite similar to good corporate governance practice also. Great brands attract and retain talent. It even helps gather investors and partners for possible tie-ups domestically as well international market. Good name allows good people to join you, and you are able to retain good people. Access to improved funding and financing options. Failure to get funding at the right time is a cause of worry to the board and the finance team. If you don't get money, it's bad. But doing CSR, your name is there, people think good about you, and they will say, okay, this company does good things, so let's give it. So, and they are using their money judiciously. That means after doing all the expenses, they have a good profit, and after that also they are doing CSR activities. So that means something good is happening to the company. So investors feel confident, and money starts flowing in regularly. Corporate reputation can affect the ability to secure loan, venture capital, insurance, and finance. These are all ways which money can be raised from the market. Improve relations with the government through CSR. Helps maintain positive relations with the regulatory agencies. That is, we saw the regulatory agencies like SEBI, ICAI, ICSI. Yeah, these are the regulatory agencies which govern the functioning of the company over and above the government. Keeps the company in good news. We saw, remember, a long time we talked about corporate governance, that corporate governance keeps the company in news. Corporate governance, good corporate governance keeps company in good news. So similarly, CSR practices also keep the company in news, that yes, this company is doing something good about the society. Corporate governance was that there is no problem happening, activities are happening well, that's why it is news. For CSR, this company is actually working for the betterment of the society and the environment over and above its regular operations. That's what it keeps in good news. Leads to good news coverage and social media, which is followed today by majority of global population. So apart from TV, things are happening on social media, and I think most people follow social media much more than TV now. Regular mention of the company increases its brand recall value, and any negative publicity may be removed. So even if at some time there may be some negative publicity about a company, but if it starts working towards CSR, that goodness may remove that negativity also. A time may come that people will forget the negativity. Yes, okay, it may have happened, but now because of all the good things which are happening, that negativity will be removed.